All right, guys. What we're going to do here is I'm going to go over tables 3-7 to 3-9, or 3-10, sorry. And we're going to talk about using the present progressive for future time, using the simple present tense for future time, also using be about to express the immediate future, and then also talk a little bit about parallel verbs. All right. So to begin, I just want to review a couple of things. We've learned two forms of the future tense so far. One is will and one is be going to. The thing to remember about both of these is that both of them can be used for predictions about the future. They can also both be used equally when we're talking about time clauses. The difference between them is that will is going to be used for volunteering or promising something, a decision that's made in the moment rather than something that's planned. Be going to is used for planned events. Okay, so first I want to talk to you about using the present progressive to talk about the future time. Okay, so what we'll talk about here is using the present progressive to express future time. So if we look at a couple of examples here, so we see Alicia is going to start college in September, and then we see Alicia is starting college in September. And to give you another example, we're going to try a new restaurant tonight, and here we're trying a new restaurant tonight. Now, in each one of these ones, the meaning is the same in each pair. So Alicia is going to start college in September and Alicia is starting college in September. Both mean the same thing. And we're going to try a new restaurant tonight means the same as we're trying a new restaurant tonight. The thing that I want you guys to be paying attention to in all of these cases is this time word that's indicating the future. So in September in this case, or tonight. So in the sentence, we have a word that's telling us that it means the future. So let's look at a couple more examples here. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow. We are having a meeting tomorrow. Alyssa is going to drive to Peru this summer, and Alyssa is driving to Peru this summer. Okay, again, we have the same meaning for both of these. And the meaning of all of these ones, the meaning is that this is a definite plan that was made earlier. So we're going to have a meeting tomorrow is talking about a future plan, a planned meeting tomorrow. And we can use the present continuous in the same situation. We are having a meeting tomorrow. So with a definite plan, we can use either be going to or the present progressive form of the verb. But the thing that we want to focus on is that most of the time when you're saying, when you're talking about the future using the present progressive, you also have a time word indicating the time. Okay? So moving forward, here we have a situation that's somewhat different. You're going to cry when you read that story. One of the meanings that we said for be going to, which is also true for will, is for a prediction about what you think is going to happen in the future. Or also, we said that with these time clauses, we can use be going to. Okay? But this is a situation where it's incorrect to use the present progressive form. So you're crying when you read that story. The present progressive in the future, it can only refer to a defined plan. It can't be used for predictions. So if we look at these ones, this is just practicing forming these with be going to and the present progressive. So we'll say first, where are you going to go next year? Or where are you going next year? Both of them mean the same thing. The thing to notice, though, is that in both of these, we have a word or phrase, next year, which is telling us that this is talking about the future. Another example, what are you going to study next year? Or what are you studying next year? In both cases, you have the word next year, okay, to help you indicate the future. She is going to fly this afternoon, or she is flying this afternoon. Both of them have this meaning of a future plan. So here's another example of a non-future tense being used to express the future. So this is the simple present tense used to express the future. So we have my train arrives at 9 every morning. Now that's the typical use of the present tense. When we say every morning, we mean it's a habit. But let's look at these examples here. So the museum closes at 6 p.m. It opens at 9 a.m. The swimming season ends in September, or there is a great movie on tonight. In all of these cases, what we're talking about is a definite schedule. So the museum closes at 6 p.m. I can be talking about tonight, but I can use the simple present tense because I'm using a word or a verb, closes, that has to do with a schedule. So these are some of the common verbs that are used to indicate schedule. So arrive, leave, start, begin, end, finish, open, close, and be. These are the common ones. There are other ones that are also related to scheduling, but these are the common ones that will be used for a future meaning using the simple present tense. So not all verbs can do it. So I study this evening doesn't mean the future tense. It doesn't mean the same as I am going to study this evening or I am studying this evening. It actually doesn't really make sense. I study this evening. We can say I study every evening, meaning a habit, but I study this evening to mean the future tense is inappropriate. Okay? So the simple present is used for future tense, but most verbs, besides those scheduled verbs, can't be used this way. So if we look at these ones here, we say Jacob rides in the race tomorrow. Correct or incorrect? This one's incorrect. This isn't one of the verbs that we said for schedule. So we would say Jacob is riding in the race tomorrow, meaning that he has a plan to ride in the race tomorrow. Or we can say Jacob is going to ride in the race tomorrow. Okay, and again, this means that it's a plan. What about this one? The party begins in 5 minutes. This is correct because begin is one of those schedule words where we can use it, like starts. Or we can also say the party is beginning in 5 minutes, and we can also say the party is going to begin in 5 minutes. But what we can't say is the party is begin in 5 minutes. Why? Because this form does not exist in English. Is begin. This is a mistake that is very common for ESL students because I believe it's just a translation error. But this form just does not exist in English, so it's never going to be right. What about this? He takes the bus to school tomorrow. We're going to say that this one is incorrect, and the main reason is that it's not one of those verbs, one of those schedule verbs like begin and open, close. Okay, he is taking the bus to school tomorrow is fine, and he is going to take the bus to school tomorrow. Now, I think that you could justify saying he takes the bus to school tomorrow if you're talking about it in terms of a habit. But just for the sake of this book and in terms of how I'm going to be quizzing you on this, you just need to remember that those specific schedule words are the ones that you want to use for the future tense regularly. If it's not one of those, I think it's 9 words, just don't use the simple present tense for the future, okay? Because you may make a mistake. It may be right sometimes, but a lot of times it'll be wrong. All right, so here's the third form that we're talking about, the be about to. So in this case, the doctor says this cast is about to come off. Here we say the official is about to start the race. The runners are about to begin running. What this means is the immediate future. So be going to and will are talking about the future, but they don't specify when something is going to happen. Be about to does specify that something is going to be happening immediately. So in this case, that this little girl, Nina, is holding an ice cream cone. She's hungry and loves ice cream. So she is about to eat it. Okay? It's going to happen in the immediate future. Okay? His clothes are wrinkled. He is about to iron them. Okay? Now you can see that this can be used as a plan, right? He's about to iron them. It can be used as a prediction, like in the last case where we're saying, I think that she is about to eat them. She's going to eat them right away. Not them, the ice cream. It can be used as a prediction and a plan. I guess you could use it, I'm about to help you. That doesn't make as much sense. In that case, we probably should still use will. All right. So here's the last one, this form on parallel verbs. Now, this is not anything that's specific to the future tense, but it is an important thing for you guys to know, and it will be something that I'll be looking for in your writing here on out. Parallel verbs, what this means is that when you have two sets of verbs in a sentence, right? So Christy reads her email and listens to her voicemail every night. In this case, you have one subject, and the subject in this case is Christy. And you have two verbs, which are reads and listens. When we say parallel, we means that the verbs are both in the same tense. So reads and listens are both in the simple present tense. So a common mistake that students make, and not just ESL students, this is all, all writers, native and non-native speakers alike, we'd say that Christy reads and is listening to her voicemail every night. This is incorrect. You need to have both the verbs being the same. So in this example, we have Rodrigo is playing the guitar and is jumping. Now, both of these are in the continuous. One thing that you should notice is that this is in parentheses. The reason for that is that the helping verb is optional in the second one. We need the helping verb here, but we don't need it here. We don't need to repeat it. The same is true when we're talking about the future tense. So I will cook dinner and clean up in an hour. The second will, which is a helping verb, is optional. The same is true with be going to. We are going to take a walk and buy some milk. The helping verbs are optional. Okay? You don't need to have them. You can include them, but you probably don't want to. So here we have this example. After dinner, and these ones are in the future. After dinner, we are going to watch a movie and eat popcorn. So here I am going to go to Oxford and work to help pay tuition. Okay, so these are the examples. Make sure to do the practice quiz for 3-7 to 3.10. We'll go over it before we take the quiz on Wednesday. If you have any questions, either put them up on Blackboard or on Facebook, or send me an email, or just write them down and we can go over them before classes begin. Okay? Okay. So here's an activity that you can do is write down 3 simple sentences using parallel verbs. Use different verbs for each sentence. Okay. So this is something, if you have the time to go ahead and do this, we can talk about this at the beginning of class before we take the quiz. Make sure to look at the practice quiz for 3-7 to 3-10. Do that one. We will review it before we take the quiz, okay? And if you have any questions as you're watching this one, either send me an email, write it on Facebook, or write your questions down and we'll talk about them when we get to class, okay? Enjoy.